Okay, welcome. Refitting Sailboats Part 2. Michael Beemer, Skagit Valley College, Seattle Boat Show. It's less than a week away. I normally do some of these free seminars. We did one last year, Part 1. You can go back and watch it. A lot of lessons learned. Let's talk about the journey of refitting King's Pride. So at Skagit Valley College, this is what we do. We're trying to bring in more people to train to be technicians to work on boats. We're a bunch of boat nuts. And for those of you that follow on the channel, you know a lot of this information. But you're going to there's some surprises. We are selling boats. It's that time. And so I've been doing Boat Show University for about 15 years or so with Seattle Boat Show. Long time. And they've got a great deal. Last year, because of COVID, virtual show, we learned a lot. This year, back in person, love that. Gonna go walk around and look at boats, and especially for us, all the systems and gear. Can't wait. But for viewers, there is a great opportunity for us, because for 99 bucks, you can actually be part of the show. You can get a whole week-long pass. But the seminars, education, that's what I'm about. We have, I think, 19 seminars that were paid like $50, $55 each. So instructor Matt's doing a couple, I'm doing a couple. We've got destinations, all sorts of stuff. Those are all virtual. Plus, the 70-some free seminars are all going to be recorded, and they're bundling this up and giving it to people from this $99 package with a Wagner guide, and you have like 3 months you can watch and just dive deep into all sorts of education and great things. So that's my little shout out here in a week. Look at the Seattle Boat Show. It's great. So back when we did a video a year ago, are you considering a refit? I have to tell you that me and my staff, it is not for everyone. You really have to have tools and skills and want to work on boats as much as going sailing. So when I'm talking a full refit, look online. There's blogs and YouTubes and people who spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We're in year 2 and this boat's not done. It's going to be a 3-year project before it's done. So if that's you, but if you want to really go sailing, save your money, live lean, buy a boat, and then take off and go cruising. And so you got to have a blend. You need to have some skills if you want to go long-term cruising, for sure. And so, but just beware, full-on refits that we're talking about, they are very expensive is the biggest thing. So there are some really good reasons to refit. They have soul. They've been in the family, right? It's like an heirloom. We want to keep that running. It's worth a new motor. It's worth a rig and sails and stuff like this. Historically significant boats. Yeah, they're really worth saving. Maybe you've got a large trust fund, and then, yeah, same thing. You can throw a lot of money at an old boat and not really worry about it, because you never recoup your money on a refit if you invest a ton of money into a boat like that. Obviously, like I mentioned, if you love working on boats and that's your passion, awesome, you can do it. But don't buy a bargain boat and think that you're going to save money by fixing it up yourself. It is never going to happen, okay? And a lot of these things, by the way, just because you buy a new or newer boat, get it surveyed, take a good look. Do your homework, because new boats have plenty of problems too that we've found out about. So the other option is, there's our Marine Technology Center up in Anacortes, Washington. If you are a school, have a shop, and don't have to worry about making money like us, authentic learning, then you can refit boats, come to find out, because it's a lot of fun and we're sharing that journey with you. So check it out. So our simple plan, we had a staff meeting and we set out over here by the port and the marina, and said, oh, let's buy an offshore boat. Not only are we going to refit a boat, but let's do it and keep track of it, why we make decisions, and share that to everybody, which we've done. And not how to. Our videos there's a lot of how-to things, and that would take far more time and energy than we have. So it's about students, it's about doing things right. And we've learned so much. So yeah, starting with an offshore capable boat was one thing. Hopefully more and more technicians are going to come our way. That is our number one goal. We like to train people how to fix boats. We had this incredibly minute budget for an offshore sailboat, but we had 40 years of buying experience between me and staff, and actually it's probably more than that. John Neal helped us. He's got 40 years by himself probably. So we got a lot of good advice. We made sure that we had kind of a solid platform to start with. What we ended up with is the King's Pride. Bob Perry, Westsail 39, and this truly needed everything. We thought, perfect, this is what we should do. Retrospect, we maybe should have started with a boat that just needed an engine or a little of this or that. Because it truly, we gutted the wiring, the plumbing, the engine, and it has been an incredible journey. We have over 50 videos, so this video presentation is just about refitting boats. If you want to dive deep, you can binge watch some of that stuff. But we want to talk about getting this boat for sale and whatever. So that was our vision. That's how she looked when she came in. And we purchased for $25,000. We couldn't find anybody to give us a boat that was capable of what we wanted. And so our video last year said, oh, well, let's invest $50,000 into it. So 10 grand for a mast, 15,000 for an engine. Oh, we're going to need some electrical and batteries, 10. And then there's 10 for stuff that I forgot, right? Well, that's all out the window. But the goal was just sell it for what's invested. It's student work. We just need to recoup the costs so we could do it again. So that's our vision. And it was really good for students and staff. We've learned a lot. It's been a great, great project. But the reality kicked in after the year 2 is now started. We started in the first year of COVID. Bad idea. We didn't know COVID was going to hit. We already bought the boat. It was sitting there. So we plowed forward with the plan. New technicians need a lot of guidance. Everybody's like, wow, it's so awesome. You've got, classes of students that'll work for free. Well, no, that's not really the way it works. If you're learning how to fix stuff, you got to have staff with you. You've got to, make sure you're doing it correctly. So that was a learning opportunity for us staff. And the students that did participate, the problem was we couldn't get all of our students involved, but those that did, super authentic learning right there. And what we found out on this particular boat, it was an owner completed boat, and the woodwork was nice, but we decided in order to keep it serviceable and to make it the way we would want it, we ended up doing a lot more epoxy work. We love engines, we love electrical, but we ended up moving the engine back, which meant a whole bunch of stuff. New engine mounts themselves, we redid the old strut, the drive line. We knew the bilge was super deep. It wasn't right, so we built a composite insert. We got the bilge back the way it needed to be. The rudder came apart in hours and hours, then it had to be faired and fit. And so we ended up, the rudder stops, epoxy work, and we know how to do that. It's just not a big part of our curriculum. And so if we'd have been watching a bunch of other refits, that's kind of what happens on some of these older boats. So, but really, our goal then was, here's the $75,000 boat. Somebody buys it, invests about 25 grand, puts on, the head sail that it needs, a chart plotter with a radar, a little canvas work, and boom, 100 grand, you are on a 7-year circumnavigation. That is a dream plan. I often thought that it could be done and to get a boat on the ocean for 100 grand, but that's not the case. So, but really, even though it's going to be a little bit more than that, a new 40-foot offshore boat, you're talking about $500,000. So what we did in this refit, and if you're planning this, some of the things that I would recommend is don't do if you're an owner of a boat and you're going to have a plan to go offshore cruising. If you have time and you have a 5-year plan, break it into like 5 big chunks. You could do an engine 1 year, you could do a rig, and then you could still go out and enjoy your boat. Problem I have here is we don't get to go out and sail and enjoy this boat. It's just sitting there. It is work, it is work, it is more work. So that would be my advice to you. We took the mast off in the fall of 2020, had a crane in, and Amanda Swan said she was looking at the boat and she looked up and said, oh, the mast needs paint and it's video evidence. I'm like, no, we're not painting it. We're just doing the wires, the rigging, standing rigging. Sure enough, we got it down. It had to be painted. It was a mess. But fall of 21, we put it back on. It is beautiful. We are talking full, all new standing rigging, new LED spreader lights, new wind instruments, you name it, all new halyards. It is beautiful and it is done. So we have got a new rig on this. And the cost, I estimated $10,000 when we started this project, and you could get by with standing rigging maybe for that. But we invested over about $20,000 into the rig so far, and that's with zero labor. So you can imagine that would have ticked up a lot had we been paying, somebody to do it. There was some of the additional cost on the $10,000 was we just decided to bite the bullet and buy a $4,000 brand new roller furler, because you have to put it on kind of right now when the crane was there and the rig was there. If you don't, well, then whoever buys it's going to want a roller furler. They're going to have to take the forestay back apart and off and whatever. So basically we did that. The mainsail is in good serviceable shape, but it still needs, on top of that, a head sail. So 20 grand plus labor plus a head sail. You can do the math. Rigs are expensive. And by the way, all of these costs are documented at cruiserscollege.org. That's where the site where you can find classes that happen right here at the Marine Tech Center. But it's really, I put it out there. These are the ancillary things and costs and stuff that we needed to do in order to get the rig done. So if you're wondering, like, wow, how in the heck did you spend 20 grand, Beemer? It's there. You can dig down into the spreadsheet and see all the costs and kind of when we spent that money. The engine is another story. It had this old Volvo Swedish girl. It was loud and saltwater cooled, raw water for its entire life. So we budgeted $15,000. Well, that's because I thought, well, what does a new engine cost? Well, here's the thing. It's going to exceed 20 because of the new engine mounts, because of paint, because of epoxy, the cutlass bearing, the propeller shaft, and we're into it right there. You can see $19,000. We still have to buy exhaust hose. That stuff's $12 a foot, So, and by the way, we got a deal. We bought this engine 2 years plus ago for 13 grand. I think they're 16 now or something, because of inflation. So if you're budgeting an engine yourself, you're looking at a minimum of $25,000. If you're having a yard install it, you can talk about doubling that cost. I think on a sailboat, an easy $30,000 could be spent, $35,000, to have it pulled into a yard and just have somebody put a new motor in. We encourage to do it yourselfers, because if you're going cruising, you're going to know about the entire fuel system and the saltwater, the cooling system, and your exhaust. And so that's the benefit of a refit that you can get if you're doing it yourself, or at least involved. Obviously, a lot of boat owners don't have a crane in a yard, but maybe you can find a place where you could do some of the other systems. The steering system is vital on any boat. Without steering, it becomes a big safety thing. So we replaced this old corroded, nasty quadrant. We did a bunch of painting down there. We reinforced that upper bearing. Like I said, we took the rudder off, drilled big holes in it to make sure that the inside, the integrity of it was in great shape. So overall, when you look at the spreadsheet, I don't know, a few $1,000s. It wasn't a big money thing, but it was a huge time commitment. And so you're going to get into an old boat, steering. So that could be your third season or whatever, maybe. And then things I really like to showcase is the refrigeration system is designed and installed. It's awesome. So we have a system with the condenser down. It's keel cooled. So you're going to suck the heat out of the refrigerator and freezer. It goes through the compressor down and into the ocean. and it's the refrigerant. We don't have to circulate salt water through the boat, nothing. It's a little 35-watt compressor. These are super efficient. And then it's got a, maybe, I forget how big, a 3 cubic foot freezer and double that for refrigerator. You keep the freezer really cold, and then it's got a, called a spillover fan. That spillover fan will pump cold air out of the freezer into the refrigerator and maintain your refrigerator temperature, so that you've got your salads and meats and whatever, your beer, staying nice and cold. Should be a really good system. The boat came with, it was an ice box, but it was really well insulated, except for the lids, which will be a project that we'll do, or the new owner, but super, super nice. John Neal donated a dual digital remote thermometer system, so you can tell what your fridge and freezer temperatures are at all times, because these do need a little tweaking. When you put these systems in, where you set your thermostats takes a little bit of time to get it dialed in, but it's spectacular. Refrigeration system like this, if you have an ice box or a refrigerator that's junk, you know, we estimated $3,500 to put in a really top-notch, super efficient refrigerator. So you can get that on your the budgets. We then dove into the electrical system. We knew and back on the engine, we bought a new 4-blade max prop. So we've got an engine that will drive and push this boat marvelously. So you can steer it, you can move it. The rig is going to stay up, the keel's going to stay on the bottom, right? Good stuff. Then it comes to living. That refrigerator I just talked about, how are we going to provide power for it? So we did a Zoom meeting with Nigel Calder, because it was COVID once again and we couldn't get together in person, but we designed a electrical system that you can plug in here in the United States, 120, 60 cycle, and the boat will run. But when we get to New Zealand, or if we go to the Mediterranean and you have 240, 15 amp, 50 cycle, this boat will run. We bought a whole bunch of quality equipment. Victron came through and gave us deep discounts so that we could actually do what we wanted to, not what our budget would afford. And so we have 400 amp hours of lithium batteries going into this thing. You can look at the design. I won't go into all the details for the purpose of this video, but we've got Balmar output alternator, wake speed voltage regulator, all these really awesome pieces of equipment to do it safely, do it properly, and this boat will be a dream to keep powered up and keep charging your equipment and stuff like this. So awesome electrical stuff. Lessons learned, though, it's been a fun process. It shows in the videos. And even for us who do this, been doing this for decades, it is always more work than you think. And if you go into a boat yard, it's not the boat yards normally gouging. Like almost every boat owner is like, every time I go to the boat yard, it's more money and more time than I thought. And that's kind of the nature of these old boats. And so that we're sharing that with you because there's so much unknowns. Until you get in there and you rip the old engine out, you don't realize maybe that the engine beds need to be, rebuilt or worked on. And so it's not for the weary. This project has had some great sponsors, and really, for us to continue to do this and film it year after year and refits, this is something that a boat owner doesn't have to worry about in your refit. So if you're looking at the numbers, you found this perfect boat, maybe you've got a boat right now and you're like, man, I am not going to invest this kind of money into it. You're going to sell it, save, okay. But at any rate, Pacific Marine Center is a local here in Anacortes. All this is basically Anacortes stuff, but they moved the boat for us and pressure washed it and have done things. They'll get it back in the water this spring. John Neal has helped with purchasing the boat, donating some equipment. He'll be steering some potential clients to buy the boat. He might be telling them to run because it still needs work. It is a project boat. North Harbor Diesel has helped us. Fishery Supply helps us all the time with discounts on product. We are a school. We have a budget. Don't think that we got everything donated. We pay money for most of this stuff, and so and we did buy, and we've sourced equipment we want to have. We would not put on any equipment because it was given to us for marketing. We did not want to go down that road, and we don't. Fiberglass Supply helped us with some stuff as well. And Seattle Yachts is also involved. They're helping us. Victron, I mentioned, helped us. Balmar's helped us. And our own Skagit Valley College Foundation has helped us. So that's how we can afford to refit boats. That's how we can afford to share the story and do what we do. So we've had a lot of sponsors. When we sell this boat, which is going to be soon, the details are coming here. Sail away package. We thought, how cool would it be? Here's our Anacortes town. Let's give whoever buys it some gift cards to go out and eat in our restaurants and see what we have to offer. John Neal says, hey, I'm going to have them. He does these offshore seminars. By the way, if you're interested to come to Anacortes, you can see King's Pride, and you can do a full weekend here at the Marine Tech Center. It's going to be a lot of fun, tons of information. I think we're even going to kick off a life raft, and just for fun. So whoever buys the boat is going to get a free pass to John's seminar. He said he'll throw in a half-day consulting about world routes, like when you should be in different areas for a 7-year circumnavigation. Mark Bunzel, the Wagner Guide, is giving the Wagner Guide, if you don't have one already, some cruising guides, books, a weather talk about going around Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island, if you're not from the Northwest, 300 miles-ish long, perfect circumnavigation to shake down a new boat when you get it done. So that's gonna, Bob Perry, we've done videos with Bob. He has signed a set of construction prints and did a really nice job in his book about boat design, so you're gonna get that. We're gonna have a GoPro video, so hopefully we've got, whoever takes off will send us some clips and we can share the story about King's Pride heading back out. And so what's next? Well, we have made the decision as of about a week ago to put the boat up for sale. We've always, it's been the plan to sell it, but this is making a decision, and that decision was a tough one because it's still an as is, it needs work. And I'll detail in this video a little bit and in the future what it still needs. But we think it will sell as is because whoever is going to buy it, we hope, is going to be involved in kind of putting the last details back together. So we'll see. And then we're going to start working on the next one. This did drive part of our decision-making process. A little sneak peek, there'll be some stuff coming. We had a Pacific Seacraft Crealock given to us. Oh yeah. And so that's like the next boat, and we only have room for one boat, so we can't start one project till another's done and the logistics. So we're going to see whichever boat sells. Then if we can get King's Pride sold, somebody's going to get a heck of a deal on all this new equipment. We're going to start doing tours in late April, basically is my plan. We are a school. They have to make sure I'm not selling it to my best friend Jimmy Bob, and wasting a bunch of taxpayers' money. So we'll be taking offers in May. We'll get it on Yacht World, that sort of a thing. And then come June, new owners, we're going to transfer the title. It's going to be, we'll splash it, put it in the water, and then they can continue on. It will be a running, driving, decent project at that point. And so if you're interested in buying this boat or in refits, I will continue to put out lots of content. That's our goal, is to share what it's all about and continue documenting it. And we got several other boats in the line, and even though we have a Crealock given to us, we still want to do a power boat too for the inside passage to Alaska. So we'll see. But you can dig in the 50 videos, subscribe down below in the links, if you want to keep updates on when it's going to go up for sale. But essentially, the tanks, the engine, that system is going to be done. It's new shaft prop, like I mentioned, beautiful. It's going to be a running, driving machine. And the rig is all done. There's a little bit of running rigging down on the deck level, but really the rig is done except for buying a head sail The steering is all done. We talked about that. New cable and the rudder's been inspected, all of that. The electrical system will be mostly done. We'll see. That's over the next 2 or 3 months. We'll see how much we get done, but it's going to have a very nice electrical system that we mentioned. We replaced all of the windows and rebed most of the deck gear, so that's another big benefit to this boat. The anchor winch has been off. It's been all serviced. It's been inspected. It's got a new relay on it, new wiring on it. That stuff's ready to go. A big deal was we had to blast the bottom. The bottom paint was massively thick, and it was no good. Beautiful internally ballasted keel, so we don't have to worry about keel bolts. That's a nice thing. But we sandblasted the entire bottom. We faired the entire bottom. We put barrier coat on the entire thing. And that is another probably $10,000 minimum job, probably more, in a boatyard. And so it's been sitting now. We will sand it one more time and do a couple more coats of barrier to make sure it's nice and thick and put fresh bottom paint on it. So you can envision this boat that we're going to be auctioning off or selling as the bottom paint, the hull's in good shape, the windows, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, that's the sales pitch. That's good. But what's not good? Well, it's a project boat, and project boats don't sell. So we'll see. It still needs electronics. We're not putting any of that on because you might love Furuno and somebody else might love Simrad and somebody else might want Ray Marine. So that's the new owner. We mentioned the hardtop Dodger and frame is there, but it needs canvas. It's going to need a sail cover. It's going to need some trim like that. It does need that new head sail. And then the real work in the boat, those things are pretty easy for you to see it do, is probably going to have to finish up our propane system and installation. There's going to be plenty of plumbing. I mean, it's got a water tank, it's got a holding tank that's installed and a discharge pump, but the toilet needs to be installed still. The PEX is going to need to be run, and then it's going to need some cabinetry work. You'll see on the videos. You come tour it. We're not a woodworking school. It'd be awesome if we took it over to Port Hadlock to the Wooden Boat School. They are awesome. And maybe somebody bought this boat, they could take it over there and do a little bit of the interior work. So it's going to need, those kind of, and that's something that we don't teach here. And that was part of our decision to sell it as a project boat if we can get somebody to come up with most of the money that we've invested in it, because that would just be staff doing the work, and the staff is busy with other things. So will it sell? We hope so. It's a great boat. It's got a good legacy. We did a video with Jennifer King. Her dad built it. She teaches electronics for us. We think so. And like I say, if it sells, perfect. We got money. We'll work on the Crealock. If it doesn't sell, we got 3-4 other boats. We'll sell another boat because we're out of money, and we'll continue working on it. So if it doesn't sell, that's kind of what we're going to do. At least that's our plan right now. Would we do it again? The staff, we sit around and talk about it, and yeah, it's been a great experience. It's good for students. Are we going to do it all the time? It's a huge commitment. We'll see. Maybe not, but it was worth it. We are lifelong learners, and I got to learn, and thank you. Big shout out to the staff. They've let me follow them around with cameras in their face and doing interviews, and sometimes the work takes half as long because I'm like, wait, we got to get some footage of this and that. And so I've learned a ton about websites and editing film and stuff, and we're on a shoestring budget. We just did this for fun and to share. So if you're getting into refitting of boats, I think this is a good resource. Look at it, think long and hard, ask your friends about it, go to the yacht club, because it is a serious, big endeavor. And so, yeah. Thanks for watching. That's a quick little, 40 minutes or whatever, 45. That's what we usually do on the free seminar stage. Then we get to ask questions. So I don't get to ask questions this year because I'm sitting here in my office, but leave comments down below and we'll answer them hopefully and see what it is. Maybe you've got some experience with refitting a boat, whether it's good or bad. But yeah, subscribe, Scallywags Cruisers College, for the details of when the boat's going to be for sale. My email, that's how you're going to find out. You can ask me what days that we're going to actually start to have the boat available for public tours. So there you go. Smooth seas. Take care.